The top story today, like I said earlier, has to do with the KCPE results, and we're told that the private schools have topped, they performed better, and this is not something new. We know that that happens quite often, but then of course we have the CS George Magoha pledging that all candidates will get secondary school slots in that 100% transition policy, which I think is quite good news. The Business Daily today is taking a different angle to it on their top page, and they're telling us KCPE scores drop on the back of low performances in the sciences. So that is a bit of a there's a difference there. But the star of the show today, I have to say, is Andrew Munyiri, who of Democrats Academy in Thogoto, celebrating with his parents, and he's virtually on every cover of the every cover of all the newspapers, which is quite, I think, commendable. It is good that he performed that well, and obviously he deserves that much attention and celebration from his community and the country at large. Joining the conversation is Suleiman Bashir, who's also a lawyer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to get your opinion on the news about the KCPE results. We have the numbers broken down. We're told there's some regions such as Lamu not performing well, but there are others that are performing quite well, like Nairobi and Western Kenya. So, I mean, what's your take on the coverage?
Firstly, I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the top performers of this examination, as well as all the others who never even made it, who have scored any mark in this exam. These are our pupils, and the fact that they had sat for this examination points to the fact that they are the future leaders of this country.
Right.
In terms of the way this whole examination has been conducted, and the sort of briefs that the CS kept given Kenyans.
Yes.
As early as 5 a.m., the CS and the PS, including other ministry officials, were on the ground, giving us up-to-date briefs on what was happening on the ground. So that is such a laudable move on the part of the CS and his team. So, and equally, this also shows us that as Kenyans, a lot is achievable.
Yes.
I think about 5-6 years ago, we had a scenario whereby before we sat for the national examination, papers were all over, parents were confused, the pupils were in mayhem. All that has been streamlined. This shows us that a lot is doable.
Right.
So, in terms of equally the way the private schools have outshined the public schools, it tells us that the public schools ought to up their game.
Right.
Again, on the other hand, these are again our pupils, where they are again meeting the institutions of the secondary schools. So I again congratulate them all. I congratulate all the pupils, the CS, the team, and everyone. The sky is the limit for all the top performers.
What's your take on the fact that there's going to be 100% transition? Because back in the day, it wasn't a given that you'd have this sort of transition, but now they're making intentional efforts to ensure that everyone finds a school. What do you think about that?
Personally, I think that's the best thing that has ever happened in this country. It's time that we have talked to rank students based on the successful and the failure, and condemning those who have not achieved. It's one of the best things that the British government has done so far. It is irresponsible to condemn someone because that you have not succeeded on an examination system. Constitution of this country discriminates and upholds discrimination at all levels.
Yes.
So it's one of the principles that this government, under Article 27 on freedom from discrimination, has enforced.
Right.
It's the best thing.
Yes.
During our time, it was quite missing. We were even forced to repeat classes.
Yeah, repeat classes.
It was terrible.
And there was a sort of shame associated with that sort of, So I think it's a good thing, and it boosts morale, I think. What do you think about that, the 100% transition?
That is highly laudable. Basically, what I personally have figured out is that the primary school is basically supposed to ground the student or the pupil or this learner on very important concepts of education. It is a right that is enshrined in the Constitution and also the Basic Education Act.
Yes.
It is supposed to give the leeway for one to join high school or the secondary education. We are not supposed to have any single Kenyan pupil who, in the name of scoring the 200, below the 250 mark, to be missing out of the secondary school lot. Then this again tells us that the CS is more keen in investing in the future of this country.
Kids, yes, it's true.
In the event we were to have the over 1,000 pupils who have scored between 100 and 250 marks, between 0 to 250 marks, missing out of the secondary education, we will be ashamed as a country. Basically, we have had very many pupils who, when they sat for their KCPE examinations, they had scored as little as 240 marks. But in the KCSE examination, they did wonders. They were some of the top performers in the country. So it is not a measure of one's intellect. It's basically a simple test that had been administered to them. And it is so remarkable that the government had decided that all of them will move to secondary school.
Well, in the same breath, we are being told on page 6 of the Daily Nation that 100% transition is training teachers. Now, this is a policy that we've both said it's wonderful. All kids will be able to get to secondary school, and perhaps it's environmental things that are making them not perform quite well. But while we go into the flip side of that, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you on Press Review.